Hello everyone, we start tonight with breaking news. Firefighters are now battling a wildfire near Reddington Road. Officials say the so-called Compass Fire started around 1:30 this afternoon and has now grown to around 75 acres. That fire is being fueled by grass and brush that's in the area. No word yet on what caused it. We'll of course continue to keep you updated. Also happening right now, the Tucson Festival of Books is entering its final chapter for this year. The event has grown into one of the largest book festivals in the world.
And as News 4 Tucson's Janelle Confair explains, several readers are turning to older books when looking for a new read. It's new at 5:30.
Another big event this weekend is also wrapping up. The Cologuard Classic has been home to some great golf this weekend, and all of it to help out a great cause. News 4 Tucson's Eric Fink joins us live from Omni Tucson National with more. Eric? Right now, one person is in custody, 2 are dead, and 7 are recovering from injuries after a car drove into a crowd in New Orleans. Officials say 32-year-old Tashante Tony was arrested in connection to the Saturday night crash. Investigators believe Tony was impaired at the time, but they are waiting for the results of blood alcohol tests to confirm it. That crash happened near one of the city's biggest Mardi Gras parades. 2 people were pronounced dead at the scene. 5 were taken to the hospital. 1 person refused treatment. And a gas line explosion, look at this video, rocked a community in northeastern Missouri early this morning. You can see those flames shooting high into the sky. That video was shot by a local sheriff's office. Once first responders arrived, it took about 40 minutes for them to get that gas off and the flames to die down. No injuries were reported, but people living nearby reported being able to feel that blast. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. We start tonight with breaking news. The northbound lanes of Alvernon near Grant are closed right now because of a crash involving a motorcycle. This is a live look at the scene. You can see the car and the motorcycle both right there. Police are asking drivers to avoid that area and expect it to be closed for at least the next 3 hours. We know the motorcyclist has life-threatening injuries and that the driver remained on the scene.
Today marks the official start of the 65th annual Gem, Mineral, and Fossil Showcase.
And as News 4 Tucson's Eric Fink tells us, one shop is taking extra precautions after having thousands stolen from them a year ago. One person had to be taken to the hospital after an early morning fire near Nogales Highway. Tucson fire officials say it started around 7:30 this morning. When firefighters got there, they found a shed on fire. Now, they were able to get that fire under control in about 10 minutes, but it was still bad enough that one man had to be taken to the hospital with burn and smoke inhalation injuries. The cause of that fire is now under investigation. A top Arizona Democrat is accusing the Republican House Speaker of risking the collapse of the Colorado River drought plan. House Democratic leader Charlene Fernandez says Speaker Rusty Bowers is on the verge of tanking the plan because he's pushing legislation that has angered the Gila River Indian community. Gila River plays an important part in negotiations, and the Gila River officials say the plan threatens their water rights. Now, the tribe says they will not sign on to the drought plan until they get assurances that Bowers' plans won't move forward. The deadline for an agreement is coming up. It's March 4th. The White House is sending out a warning tonight over the border wall battle, saying that if lawmakers disapprove of President Trump's emergency declaration, the president will issue his first veto. Meanwhile, the White House is also preparing for a number of new lawsuits, some of which have already been filed. Jennifer Johnson has the latest. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Van Zandt. Aaliyah Shahid has the day off. Every year, Southern Arizona's 8/8 Crime Dinner honors law enforcement and first responders. This year, though, they paid tribute to a fallen hero. News 4 Tucson's Eric Fink is at Desert Diamond Casino with more. Customs and Border Protection officials say they have apprehended a large number of migrants over the last 2 days. Officials tweeted out this photo of some groups of Central Americans they stopped at the border near Lukeville. Now, the groups from today had more than 100 people in it. A group on Friday had around 90 people. After 8 years of planning, a memorial tribute to Gold Star mothers now rests at the Evergreen Mortuary and Cemetery. News 4 Tucson's Janelle Confair has the story of what's behind this moving memorial. Thank you, Danelle. The Tucson Unified School District held their second annual March for Education this morning. Several people gathered outside of the TUSD administration building this morning for the event, which, as you can see, included a children's mariachi band. We spoke with Pima County School Superintendent Dustin Williams about why this event is so important.
This is important because we want to keep the momentum of education. We want to make sure these kids know that we care about them, we love them, and we're always going to be fighting for education.
Some of the participants followed up the event by heading over to the University of Arizona Festival of Books. Thank you, Allie. This 2019 Tucson Festival of Books kicked off today at the University of Arizona, and this event runs all weekend long. It's free. There's all types of literature, and it's grown into one of the largest book festivals in the country. If you're interested in going, there is also a Tucson Festival of Books app, which is available to download. That will help readers navigate the campus. For more information about the event, just head over to kvoa.com. And this weekend, you might see some historic planes flying in formation all over Tucson. It's part of the Heritage Flight Training and Certification course that's now taking place. Now, this event happens every year at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base because pilots must get recertified so they can perform in the upcoming air show season. This weekend's events are closed to the public, but you will be able to get a close-up look at the planes on March 23rd and 24th during the 2019 Thunder and Lightning over Arizona Air Show. Flying just a little bit higher, the latest SpaceX rocket blasted off from Florida early this morning. The company's Crew Dragon capsule is now scheduled to dock with the International Space Station in just a couple of hours. And if all goes well, American astronauts could be heading back to space from the U.S. this summer. Chris Pallone has the latest. Coming up next on News 4 Tucson Live at 9, more doors are closing for traditional retail stores. Details on the quickly changing industry right after the break.
Investigating for you.
Well, this week was a tough one for traditional retail stores. In just one day, 3 major brands announced they'll soon be closing more than 300 stores. And at a time when everything is available online, it's another sign of drastic changes in the retail industry. Miguel Almaguer has more on the growing fallout. Coca-Cola is debuting a new flavor for the first time in more than a decade, and it is orange vanilla. Coca-Cola hasn't launched a new flavor since it launched Vanilla Coke in 2007. Look at that can. Beautiful. Oh, it's impressive. Now, this flavor is said to be reminiscent of creamy orange popsicles, orange vanilla Coke, and orange vanilla Coke Zero. Unclear if that's orange vanilla Coke Diet Zero with lemon or lime. That'll all hit stores nationwide on February 25th. We have unconfirmed reports. Multiple people, including Ari Alexander, are already lining up. An Uber driver from the Phoenix area is speaking out after police say a passenger slit his throat. Officials say the driver picked up Francisco Diaz, who you see there on Wednesday, and was supposed to drop him off at a Tolleson home. Instead, the driver says the passenger cut his throat when he turned around to ask for directions. The driver survived but had to get 20 staples in his neck.
I've been doing this for 2 years. 2 years, and most of the time I drive at night, and I never in my life thought like this can come my way.
Now, officials say Diaz told police he pulled a knife on the driver because he was afraid the driver was going to harm him. Diaz has been charged with the attack. Clothing company Gap says they will be closing nearly 230 of their stores over the next 2 years. That amounts to about half of their total stores. Now, while closings will be happening worldwide, the company says most of those closures will be here in the United States. Gap executives say the poorest performing stores will be closed by the end of the year, and Gap officials say they also plan to split from their sister store Old Navy and then form 2 different companies. Meanwhile, Amazon is planning to launch dozens of grocery stores in several major U.S. cities. That's according to a report by the Wall Street Journal. That grocery store chain is expected to be separate from Whole Foods, which Amazon already owns, and will have a lower price point. Now, the company has had retail locations previously, including its Amazon Go cashless convenience stores. Allie?
We'll see what we get.
I feel a little bit odd because I hurt my neck and I can turn to look at you like this, but to look at Paul, I have to like turn completely this way
I was in a
to
car
look
wreck
at
recently, so I know how
Paul.
you
No,
feel,
wait, that's
bro.
why your chair
Yeah.
swivels.
Oh, it swivels,
Just
it
go.
swivels.
So, hi, Nick.
So
and
much
then you just
easier.
go back. There we go. Yeah. So,
Look,
no.
if you're interested in this neck update, we'll be back at 9 o'clock.
He needs a massage.
Oh, it's a strong hand. A strong hand. Many of Hollywood's top talents gathered together tonight for the Golden Globe Awards right here on NBC.
You seem really excited about that.
I'm super pumped about a bunch of movies I didn't see.
My goodness. Well, maybe you saw them because they are the year's best in television and film, and they took center stage. Stephanie Stanton has a wrap-up of the big show.
Stephanie Stanton, NBC News, Los Angeles.
For a full list of tonight's big winners, just head over to our website at kvoa.com. Now let's head over to Stephanie Weaver with a look at our forecast.
Yes, the Golden Globes are over. Now we're talking about weather. We saw so much rainfall of the last 24 hours.
From Golden Globes to Snow Globes.
Oh,
Yeah.
very good.
That was free, folks. That was free.
Oh, we have a couple boos. Ari's booing.
I spent
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good, Nick. I'll give it to you. But
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Van Zandt. Aliyah Shahid has the day off. After 8 years of planning, a memorial tribute to Gold Star mothers now rests at the Evergreen Mortuary and Cemetery. News 4 Tucson's Nell Confair has the story of what's behind this moving memorial. It's new at 5:30.
Tucson.
President Donald Trump told an audience of conservatives today that he will win re-election in 2020 by a much bigger margin than he did in 2016. President Trump made those remarks while speaking at the Conservative Political Action Conference that takes place every year just outside of Washington, D.C. Now, during his speech, the president also went over how he won as an outsider in 2016, said he's looking forward to the next election, and took aim at Democrats over the Green New Deal. The idea of a Green New Deal has been proposed by some congressional Democrats, and it has gotten some support from Democratic presidential candidates. Meanwhile, presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders kicked off his 2020 campaign today in New York. The rally, which you see right there, took place at Brooklyn College, where Sanders says he expects to win the Democratic nomination and then beat President Donald Trump for the White House. The Vermont senator vowed to fight for, quote, economic justice, social justice, racial justice, and environmental justice. During the event, Sanders also made campaign promises to raise the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour and make public colleges and universities tuition free. A consumer alert now for people still filing their taxes. With millions of Americans trying to figure out the new tax rules, officials say scammers are trying to swoop in and take advantage of the confusion. Kristen Dahlgren sat down with top IRS officials to look at the top scams and what you can do to protect yourself. The 2019 Festival of Books kicked off today at the University of Arizona, and this event runs all weekend long. It's free, there's all types of literature, and it's grown into one of the largest book festivals in the country. If you're planning on heading out there, there is also a Tucson Festival of Books app that's available to download. That will help readers navigate the campus. For more information about that event, just head on over to kvoa.com. Allie?
hey, Nick, today would have been a wonderful day.
The latest SpaceX rocket blasted off from Florida early this morning, and the company's Crew Dragon capsule is now scheduled to dock with the International Space Station early Sunday morning. And if all of this goes well, American astronauts could be headed back to space for the U.S. this summer. Chris Pallone has the latest.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Coming up next on News 4 Tucson at 5:30, we'll have some grand openings and grand closings. We'll see you right after the break. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Van Zandt. We begin tonight with breaking news. Right now, Tucson police are investigating after a skull is found in a dumpster on the south side. This is a live look at the scene. Now, what we've learned so far is that the skull was found in a dumpster behind the Little Caesars. You can see some crime scene units there now investigating. Now, this Little Caesars is near the intersection of 12th and Valencia. Officials say that the skull was found by a man who was going through the dumpster around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Police say that so far the skull appears to be human, but right now they do not know if it is connected to a crime.